Okay, welcome. Today I want to talk about bullying, about how we deal with somebody who is bullying us, either in our home or at work. Okay, many blessings. So, I was reading somebody's post today and they were asking the question about bullying, about how we deal with someone who's a bully. And I just wanted to share, find it easier than writing down, just to share, what do I feel about that? Because I've had to deal with that a lot in my own life. So, yeah, for me, one of the first things I would say about bullying is I learned that in order for me to start to say no and have strong boundaries with others, is I had to learn to have strong boundaries within myself. And one of the things I would say in my 20s, I learned that I was a really bad bully, but I used to bully myself. And I was a workaholic, and I just kept pushing myself, pushing. And I was living in a Buddhist monastery at the time. And because I was living at work, I was just working all the time. And I would work, I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd do my therapy, I was kind of doing all of this work. And I learned this practice, which was just to, after lunch, so 1 o'clock, would just sit in my chair in my room and just stop and not get up. And I found it really hard. It was like I had to learn to say no to myself. And as I started to do that, then I learned to be able to start saying no to others, and have boundaries with others. Because I also feel, the pheasant, when I learned to say no to others, it was like I could also say yes to myself. I could say no to others. I could also say yes to others. Say no to myself and yes to myself. So that was the first aspect I would say about bullying. It's like, okay, I need to learn boundaries firstly with myself. The second thing I found with bullies is, sometimes in the settings I'm in, that I come across people who I don't resonate with, who I find really challenging. Wouldn't necessarily call them bullies, but I struggle with them. And one of the practices I like to do in this, kind of learnt this from the Mankind Project, and I've also learnt this from the, who is it, from my wife as well, this idea of seeing what is it within them. So one of the practices I do is seeing the bully in front of me, and I just ask that question. It's like, what's the data? How are they bullying me? That's the first step, the data. Second step is to say, what do I judge them to be? It might be, well, I judge them to be lazy, or I judge them to be a bully, or they're angry. Make these judgments. Then I also, you can make the reflection, what is that type of person? What is a person who's a bully? And you say, well, it's a person who is like this. And what we then do is we can write those things down, and then we reflect, these are patterns that I can't see within myself. So it's like I have a charge with this bully, but once I realize that, actually this is a trait that I do, might not be with them, but I do it maybe with my husband or my wife. And maybe I do it with my children. So I find that's something really powerful. That gives me the gold there to go, oh God, yeah, actually I was like that yesterday. Not in the same way, but maybe with myself. I was a bully. So that's the second thing, I would say. The third thing is like the kind of the question was about emotions. Is like when someone's bullying about showing tears. And sometimes for me, when I've worked with children, I found that, and this is partly, there's a film called The Work, which is by the Mankind Project, about a group of men going into Folsom Prison and doing a men's group there. And while they're there, one of the men who's one of the facilitators, he says a man cries with his shoulders back and his head up. And I feel that's the same with a woman. That sometimes when there is a bully, if we can just be heart open, head up, and we're crying and we're keeping eye contact with this person, the bully really feels what they feel about their actions. How their actions are affecting other people. It takes a certain strength and an inner core to be able to do that. In my work in schools, when I've worked with children, or doing kind of working one-to-one with children, I sometimes, if they're when they're young, sometimes they'll punch, and I learned just to emote, and I'd cry. I would share that hurts. I wouldn't necessarily say anything, I wouldn't reprimand them, but they would see emotionally how that affects me, and that would be the last time they would punch me. So sometimes, when somebody is attacking us and we can just emote, feel, we don't run away, we don't try and fix the other person, get angry, but we just show our tears. And what sometimes if someone tries to stop me, I can be quite firm in that place of my tears, of like, leave me be. And they're like, whoa, okay, yep, I get it. So that's something I also do. It's just when there's a bully, it's like, really grounding myself and feeling that. So that's what I've got on my list at the moment of things and practices that I use. So it's like seeing that I need to learn to say no to myself, and then I can say no to others. What's that within me? And then crying, shoulders back, head up. This is what I feel in this moment. And I think as I do that, it's like, and sometimes with the bully, the last thing is I'll sometimes speak to them and just say, and you can use the model from the PET, the parent effectiveness training, or LET, the leader effectiveness training. You share the data. When you say those words, I feel really upset. I feel really sad. What I would love is for you to speak to me in this way. What I'd love is that we sit down and we talk. So we kind of offer a solution. So we share what the data is. When you shouted at me yesterday, or you told me to do that in that tone, I felt really sad. And I just wanted to give up. What I would love is this. And I've sometimes done that with people who I find are bullying. And I think the final aspect of that is then that opens up compassion. That this person who's bullying is a bully to themselves. And I think it's Ajahn Brahm, the Buddhist teacher, Ajahn Brahmawamsa. He says, those who are bullies, you have to spend a minute with them a day, or a couple of hours a day with them. They have to spend 24 hours a day, and that helps to spring forth this compassion in our hearts for them. So, So just some reflections, and any questions, please do let me know. Well, many blessings.